What is going on YouTube? Thank you for coming over and watching another episode of Pips and Points. I'm your host, Jono, and we're going to be talking today. Well, to start off with, we're going to be looking at the Nas100 from where we left off yesterday, Tuesday the 14th. Today is the 15th. And right now it is in the evening, so it is Wednesday the 15th and it's 9:37. So we've got roughly just over an hour until markets close UK time. Okay, so yesterday where I left off, right, is I put a little play down because there was this little funnel that was emerging, but it wasn't a play, it wasn't an official play because I actually didn't put anything in. It was just to see what would happen, i.e. if the market would have gone my way, basically, right? And that was, so if you watched the video that came out yesterday on the 14th, you would have seen that I would have placed a little virtual trade, which is this box right here, on the Nas, obviously completing the funnel, which is making its way back up here. So going from here where it is to up here somewhere, right? And as you can see, the opposite is happening, but it is kind of going back up there, right? But we're just going to forget that. We're going to forget that because literally the play was for it to just rise up, not go all the way down and then go all the way back up again. That was not the play, so we just got on that, and that's what basically happened. And remember, at the end of the video, I basically said that it could go down and knock everything out, and that's exactly what has happened. So first off, to start off with, was I wanted to clear that up, make sure that part was clear, right? So let's get rid of all of this stuff here because that is not needed moving forward, not needed at all. Okay, so we're going to talk about what is going on in this particular area. So that is this little parabolic move that's taking place right now. Now that there, believe it or not, is news. Hence why I pay attention to the news, what's going on. So what's happened today? Well, today we've had 3 news come out. The first 2 big ones were in the afternoon UK time, so that was about 1:30 in the afternoon, and that was the core retail sales and retail sales monthly, right? And both the reports were not as good as was forecast. So let me just have a look. Let me just make sure I've said that right. Wait, hang on. I'm just gonna refresh this page very quickly because it hasn't updated, and I've been checking this out on my phone, believe it or not. So let's just make sure that we get it all right. And obviously you wouldn't know that because you're not seeing my phone. Okay, right. So the big news that we've had today at 1:30 p.m. UK time GMT was we had core retail sales and retail sales, and let's have a quick make sure I got it right. Okay, right. So yeah, got it right. So basically, both the reports were not positive in regards to what it was the previous month. Sorry. Yes, it was negative. No, it was negative in regards to what was the previous month, and it was a lot less than what was forecast. So for the core retail, it was forecast at 0.9%, and it actually came out to be 3%. And the retail sales came in at 0.8%. That was the forecast, and it came in at 3% also. And the previous month, which is November, both of those came in at 1.8, so a lot better. Okay, now my initial feeling was, before the news came out, was I thought the news was actually going to be quite positive. Reason why was because Christmas was coming up, and I personally believe that people will obviously find money to go out and shop and buy gifts and all the rest of it. So I thought it was going to go well. I mean, literally, I didn't think this was going to be the report, but however, this is the report that we got. So that's that. obviously, and that came in about 1:30. So let me just have a quick look to see. Let me just go into hourly and see when that report came out to see if he actually did anything. All right, so I mean 1300, yeah, 1400 hours, and that's a little area here. So as you can see, nothing really happened. Nothing really happened, but we did get two touches along this little line right here, which I did notice. And remember also yesterday I said I would get in on the trade. Now I've now changed my mind completely, and I'm going to explain why I've changed my mind, why I've actually have changed my mind in regards to actually getting into a trade. Because although this would have been a good idea when it is at my desired price level, but it's there at the wrong time. At the wrong time, and I'm going to explain why in a moment. So where was I? Right. So okay. So the next news that came out was the news that has just gone just now, and that was the Federal Open Market Committee, the FOMC. Okay. Now that was released at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. today. So that would be 1900 hours this evening. So just to 7 o'clock is that 1900 hours. Everybody gets it. So 1900 hours is when that particular report came out. Okay, and when it did came out, so let's have a look. We can see market began to react immediately as the report was coming out. Okay, and that report came out as standard, so there was no change to the decision. So let me just read what they basically was discussing, right? So the interest rate at which depository institutions lend balances held at the Federal Reserve to other depository institutions overnight. So I kind of think what this is you know how in America they have different Federal Reserve branches in different states. So they be borrowing money to each other. I think that is what it's referring to. If I've gotten that wrong, somebody please let me know in the comments. So obviously that can help me up my IQ a little bit. Okay. And the decisions is usually placed into the market, so it trends to be overshadowed by the FOMC statement, which is focused on the future. Short-term interest rate are the paramount factor in the currency valuations. Traders look at most other indicators merely to predict how interest rates will change in the future. FOMC members vote on where to set the target rate. The individual votes are published in the FOMC statement. So basically, exactly what it is. They've all had a meeting. They decided where everything was going to be. They've posted it out, and obviously markets reacted. So that's basically is the FOMC committee, and these things are super important when you're getting into trading or trading for the first time, or if you've been trading for a while. Traders that have been trading for a while, you'll notice one thing about them. Technical analysis is one thing, but you need to know the fundamentals too, right? You need to know both. So technical analysis will only get you so far. Fundamentals will really help you, but it's just that fundamentals tend to be a little bit delayed. So like I said, if you know the fundamentals and you're able to gauge positions in regards to before the news break where things are, you can have a pretty good idea as to where things are going to be once the news moves forward. Now that brings me to my next statement. Why haven't I placed a trade? Well, it's really simple. How I'm looking at it is this whole bar here. So I'm just going to draw a box within a box. Right, so I'm just going to draw a little box within a box just to try to explain why I haven't placed a trade yet. Right, so this little area right here is a zone that I refer to as time. So this has nothing to do with trade. This is just my particular personal style of trading. Now, although I want to buy in this zone, if I buy in this zone, I'm too early, and which basically means is I can get disappointed very quickly. I can only purchase in this zone around this area right here. So this is the area where I can actually purchase in this zone, right? And if I'm going to purchase in this zone, it needs to be down here. right at this level down here. So if this market ends up down here, it's the perfect place for me to buy. If it is hovering around this level, I cannot even consider an entry unless it's around here, which is between the 11th, which is between the 6th of Jan, and it doesn't even give me a date in the future. But yeah, so you're like, so what's the point? What's the point in trading this? This is how you're gonna do it. If you can't do anything for a whole month up until January, well, if I want to get the best results for myself, I better play it like this, because I understand what I'm doing. If I play in this ratio, if I play any other ratio, it's more of a guess. And a typical example is the little trade that I put in yesterday morning, and obviously I went off to work, and then we came and we saw the whole thing was negative, because I read the whole thing wrong. And I knew it probably would have not gone my way. And what happened? It didn't go my way, because I only trade certain setups, and that setup was the wrong one. So check this out. So even if you look at it without all of this there, okay, and this is how a lot of people get caught out, and they be screaming, it's the broker. No, it's not the broker. You just didn't know what you was doing, and you have to acknowledge it that you did not know what you was doing. All right. So in actual fact, I drew a channel up here, and that channel was incorrect. 100% incorrect, right? So this was the channel that I drew, okay, and I was like, okay, let me put a little trade here, which is what I kind of did. So we put a little trade here, expecting it to go up, and it didn't. It came down, right? Why did it come down? Because I hadn't noticed when I actually drew everything out, but that was not a correct channel. And the correct channel is this channel right here. This is the correct channel. We're going into a squeeze. Okay, we're going into a squeeze. All right. So at some point, either this is going to break this overall structure and come back down, and if it does come back down, it's going to come back down about here. Well, at which point, obviously, you could put a sell, but I'm not going to. All right. And then it will come down. So it's either it's going to break this little level here, and then keep going up and keep going up. Well, at which point I would have missed out. Okay, which is fair play. Which is fair play, because like I said, I am expecting it to return to this area right here. So this area is the sweet spot for me. So let me just draw it right here. This is where I want it to be. This is where I want it to be. Right here is where I want it to be. Okay, so if it gets there, great. If it doesn't, we'll just keep waiting. It's not the end of the world. We'll just keep waiting, because that's the whole thing with my particular style. Why it kind of works for me is that it works on two things that is super important, which for me basically, and that is patience, waiting for everything to line up like a sniper. You just wait. You see the target, you don't do anything until it's in the perfect spot where you cannot go wrong. It's literally difficult to go wrong. That is the kind of setups I'm looking for, and that setup is most ideal in this particular location at this time zone than it is where it is. So at the moment right now, the only time I would ever consider placing any type of trade would be here. I'm gonna draw another box. Would be here. So if it gets to this box anytime within the next days or so, yep, we're definitely putting in our little orders right here, and then we're going to wait for it to head to the upside. If it doesn't, and it keeps zigzagging and zagging around and doing all the stuff it's doing, and it gets to about here, then we'll do it then. But bottom line is, I can't do anything right now. So for the meantime, all I can do is just sit around and wait. So hopefully I'll come back tomorrow with more insight into this, or I might even look at another pair. And speaking of it, let me bring up another pair that I do like quite a bit. Okay, so the last video we did Euro USD, so I think this one we're gonna do gold versus USD. So we're gonna do gold versus USD. All right, so let's do gold versus USD because a lot of people like that, gold versus USD. Well, a lot of people like gold, period. It's a pretty good thing to trade, but it's you really need to know what it is that you're doing. And a lot of newbies, including myself, we like to start out with gold. So gold is super volatile, right? And believe it or not, literally, like when I first started, I was trading the shape at the beginning of lockdown. I was trading the shape. I was hoping to get it. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I wouldn't. And it's an absolute nightmare. I'm tempted to swear right now, but it's an absolute nightmare. This shape here gives me nightmares. And so yeah, let's break it down. Let's break it down. So we're gonna break it down, and we're gonna break it down into a lower time frame. So we're just gonna do. We're gonna do 4 hourly, right? We're gonna do 4 hourly, and we're not gonna go too far back. Just gonna go, so yeah, from May. Yeah, so from May to December. So that's that zone. And this area is a super. This one is a zone that one needs to definitely keep an eye on. So if you're doing gold, I think this level here is a level you want to keep an eye out on. Definitely want to keep an eye out on this level, and keep an eye out on this level also. Keep an eye out on this level also. Actually, let me make this a little bit fatter. Just gonna make a little fat little zone right there. And that is on a 4 hourly. Okay, so let's see what we think is gonna happen. Let's see what is the best moves that we think we can gain out of this right now. So let's see what's going on here. Let's see what is going on here. So at the moment, we definitely have a head and shoulders, so that this structure here is clear as day. So as you can see, we've got the shoulder one, followed by the head, followed by a very small little shoulder. So the logical conclusion in this whole scenario is that it's going to go down. It's going to go down, right? Okay. And I'm inclined to believe it's going to go down. Reason why is because of this little wick right here. So let's zoom in on this just to get a little insight. And once again, this is not financial advice. This is just how I look at things and how I make decisions. So this little wick right here, to me, is a tell in regards to what this is going to do. So let's move forward a bit. In regards to what this is going to do right now. Okay. Reason why is this area needs to be filled. It needs to be filled. We've got a head and shoulders up here, so a small head and shoulders, and as you can see, you had a little mini head and shoulders up here as well, right? And then boom, it shot all the way down. It shot all the way down. So it's very realistic that same situation could happen again over here, right? Bearing in mind that this lower high is being respected, right? So it's being respected. So all it is that you really kind of want to know is when it gets to a particular level, you're going to take a gamble. Well, not you per se, but if I was going to do it, I would take a gamble at this level and put in a sell order. And at this level over here as well, I would also be putting in sell orders. So at this level here, I'll be putting in sell orders. And at this level here, I'll also be putting in sell orders. So so let's see. Let's play a little game, right? Because we're gonna be because I'm gonna come back to this now and again. So let's have a look to see how this looks in the day. All right. So let's say we're gonna come back to this technical analysis in this time next week. Okay, right? And looking at where everything is, we're gonna turn around and say, you know what? So wait, let me just zoom out. Okay. So let's go back into 4 hourly. I want to come up with a scenario, like a nice little entertaining scenario, and let's see how that goes. So let's have a look. So I personally think it's going to come back down here to fill. It's going to give us a fourth touch on this level. So that would be my little speculation, that it's going to make its way at some point down here, okay, to complete this little wick, to fill that wick before it makes its return back up to this descending wedge, right? So let's zoom in even closer and let's look for entry. So let's say, right, and like I say, look, this is not set in stone, so I could definitely get this wrong. So let's just say we're going to look for entry here. Right? Yep, so we're going to look for entry there, and then we're going to put our stop loss about here, right? Now this is not an actual trade, this is just a virtual trade. So this is a virtual trade for just the sake of entertainment, right? So let's do that. And all you guys that trade gold will know that this is quite a pricey move. So just put our trade right here, and we want to cover just above here, and we want to say our stop down there, and do that. So I'm going to go here, save this little setup, okay, and we're going to come back, or I'm going to come back to this next week, and we'll see how this whole situation has played out based on what we've done right now. So this is just a very quick technical analysis. I've just opened this up, and I haven't even checked the news in regards to this at all. I mean I'm watching US news, so pretty much kind of covers this, because this is gold against US dollar, so I'm pretty much got my eyes in the right place in regards to the news I'm watching. So so we're going to see what happens within the next week. So next week Wednesday, we're going to come back to this particular thing, and we're going to see how well it's done, if it's looking positive or if it's looking terrible. Okay, so once again, I want to thank you all for coming over and watching another episode of Pips and Points with me, Jono.